If a man will grab you and physically hurt you, even if it's not a slap or a punch, in the future, it could get worse. Men should not put their hands on you, period. Men should not restrain you, period. These are signs that in the future, you might have a lot of trouble coming.
Here's what you're looking for. The first is that there's an escalation of control. Maybe in the beginning you thought they were just a little bit controlling or just a little bit insecure or jealous, but now you're starting to feel monitored or isolated. The second is threats and intimidation. They might not be violent, but they're threatening to be violent. And this includes threatening to be violent towards themselves or other people. Number 3 is the destruction of property or animals. Throwing things, punching walls, hurting animals. This kind of behavior you just cannot dismiss or ignore. Number 4 is frequent outbursts of anger. Are you noticing that they have a shorter fuse? Are you noticing that their anger is more frequent? Does it seem like they can't control it? Number 5.
How to know if your partner may be physically abusive in the future.
If he is very jealous, if he grabs you by your wrist, if he will not let you leave, if you ever want to leave a room, a house, leave any type of situation, if he physically does not let you leave, these might be the signs that later on you might really get your butt kicked. So do not let the red flags just be oblivious to you. If a man will grab you and physically hurt you, even if it's not a slap or a punch, in the future, it could get worse. Men should not put their hands on you, period. Men should not restrain you, period. These are signs that in the future, you might have a lot of trouble coming.
It always starts like that. And if you don't call it out, if you don't tell him up front that, oh, you twisted my arm, you have to stop. I felt pain and you shouldn't be doing that to me. You have to stop. You have to call it out as it happens, because many a time, so many people feel that, okay, maybe it might have been a mistake, or sometimes he does it and then you call it out and then they say, oh, it was a mistake. I'm so sorry. I'll never do that. It builds up. It builds up. And in no time, the beast is going to come out. The beast, the real beast is going to come out in no time. So that's a sign to show you that you might be dealing with an abuser.
For 7 years, he didn't lay a hand on me, and then he strangled me. So what are the signs that an emotional abuser is going to become a physical abuser? I wish I had known back then, but honestly, I don't think I would have listened. Listen, if there's one thing that you're going to take from this video, let it be this. Abuse is always progressive. Here's what you're looking for. The first is that there's an escalation of control. Maybe in the beginning you thought they were just a little bit controlling or just a little bit insecure or jealous, but now you're starting to feel monitored or isolated. The second is threats and intimidation. They might not be violent, but they're threatening to be violent. And this includes threatening to be violent towards themselves or other people. Number 3 is the destruction of property or animals. Throwing things, punching walls, hurting animals. This kind of behavior you just cannot dismiss or ignore. Number 4 is frequent outbursts of anger. Are you noticing that they have a shorter fuse? Are you noticing that their anger is more frequent? Does it seem like they can't control it? Number 5 is possessive behavior. This is things like extreme jealousy, accusing you of cheating when you're not. Watch for those things. Number 6 is a history of violent behavior. This can range from bar fights that you've been aware of or previous domestic violence charges. I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I actually knew that my partner had previously been charged with domestic violence. But he said that he'd been falsely accused and he was proven innocent in court. In fairness, he wasn't convicted of it, but that obviously has no bearing on a person's actual innocence. Number 7 is a lack of empathy and remorse. When they're emotionally abusive to you, do you feel like they just don't care, they have no empathy, they never apologize, or they blame you? This is a complete disregard for your well-being, and it's a potential for escalating harm. And lastly, number 8, controlling your access to resources. Resources could be transportation to work, a job, money, a phone, computer, or even just basic necessities. It's anything that prohibits your access to get help or to exit the relationship. Nothing I've said is definitive proof, but they are red flags. And I'm going to say it again because it's really important. Abuse is progressive. For 7 years, my abuser was emotionally and psychologically abusive. And to be fair, I didn't recognize it as abuse. To me, he was just mean sometimes, really mean sometimes, but he was also really nice sometimes. And sure, the niceness was less and less as time went on, but I could never have anticipated the night that everything changed. Trigger warning here, okay? We were arguing, and the funny thing is, I can't even remember what we were arguing about, but I said something to just piss him off. And he grabbed my arms, threw me down on the bed, climbed on top of me, and wrapped his hands around my throat. I was 7 months pregnant, and I was trying to get the words out. I'm pregnant. Not that he didn't already know. It was like I thought he forgot. I didn't leave, and I didn't call the police. Unsurprisingly, it got worse.
Abuse is progressive. It starts from emotional abuse, financial abuse, then physical abuse. It is progressive. And the point where she said, you have to be conscious, you have to know, you have to find out about the history of abuse when trying to be in a long-term relationship with any man. Even just a simple relationship, you need to find out. Because I had a friend who was dating this man, and she found out, she knew, because people were talking about how he is abusive, he is aggressive. And my friend was like, oh, he said people like to talk about him, people like to say many bad things about him, and he was very nice in the first year of the relationship, so he could control everything. He was so nice. And the second year, he started insulting my friend because my friend got pregnant for him, like just like that. They didn't plan to get pregnant, but my friend got pregnant accidentally, and he started saying that, oh, you're now pregnant because you want to pin me down, you want me to be in your life, this is your guarantee that you want me to be in your life to provide for you and your kid, blah 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 blah. All the time he was always emotionally abusive. He would insult her, he would drag her, he would degrade her, and all that. And she just stuck there because she felt that, okay, no, it's just words, and he's mean sometimes and sometimes he's nice. I'll just hang in there and he's gonna change, because he always promised that he's gonna change. And in no time, there was a point where they started living together, and it even got worse, but he wasn't physically abusive then. And when my friend was like 7 months pregnant, she was standing, it was winter, she was standing on the balcony, not the balcony, she was trying to get on the steps where there was some snow, and she didn't even notice that her man was coming from behind, and she just felt like a hard kick on her back, and before she noticed, she was on the ground, and she was heavily pregnant. How could he do that kind of a thing? This is someone who has never been physically abusive with her. He has just been emotionally abusive, just like controlling, all that, but it wasn't physical. So like she said, it's always progressive. We as women should protect ourselves. If you're with someone who is emotionally abusive and who is mean, who is trying to control you, you have to know that these are the red flags. These are the signs to show you that one day he is going to swiftly change to be, or one day he's going to become physically abusive. So those are the red flags that we have to watch out for.